welcome back. I'm Sunny Ayala, your practitioner in your pocket. I'm excited about this week's Take Control talk, and I hope you are. So sit back, relax, and get ready to learn. We've all heard the saying, no pain, no gain. Well, I used to have a pastor that said, no pain, no pain. And I absolutely loved that. I thought it was hysterical because I could totally relate to that. No pain, no pain. Yes, sign me up for that one. So I'm entitling this week's Take Control talk as Less Stress, Less Stress. Yes, please sign me up for less stress, because if I have less stress, then I have less stress. And that is just a good thing. Notice that I didn't entitle it Eliminating Stress, because as much as we would love to completely eliminate stress from our life, that's just not realistic. We can't break up with stress. It's a relationship we're stuck with. But most of us can have significantly less stress in our lives, and we can better manage it. So, I've developed a program I call PRISM. It's very simple, but very helpful in managing stress. So let's take a look at the first letter of PRISM, which is P, which stands for prioritize. We can't do absolutely everything, and that's where a lot of our stress comes from, is because we're trying to do everything. And not to take anything away from the dads out there, but moms have an especially difficult time with this, understanding that it's not their job to handle absolutely everything. So in order to start lessening the stress, we need to sit down and literally take inventory. Prioritize the things in our life that are time-consuming, that are sucking up our energy. And we'll realize when we do that several things on our list actually may have to be taken off of our plate, that we can't do it all. So we need to figure out which things are most important for us and put those in order of priority. After we've set our priorities, the next thing we need to do is, along the lines of taking inventory, rid ourselves of resentment. That is a major stressor in so many people's lives, and a lot of people don't even realize how much resentment they're actually carrying. Now, most of the time, our resentment comes and leads us into that stressful place because we took too much onto our plate. We overdid what we're really able to do in a healthy way, and that leads to resentment. We can get angry at our boss because we're putting in so much time at work, and so we don't feel appreciated. We can feel resentful towards our spouse because we feel like we're the ones doing all of the work and they're not pulling their weight or doing their fair share. Of course, we can feel resentful towards our kids, our friends, but if you look at it, most of the time that you feel resentful is because you overextended yourself and took on too much. So that's why we really want to prioritize first, but then we kind of want to backtrack and release ourselves from all the resentments that we have. And that takes time. It's a deliberate action. So you want to sit down with yourself and kind of go inside and say, who do I have resentment towards? Who do I feel angry at? And then deal with that, kind of release ourselves and release the other people from those resentments. And then we can move on to the next step. And that next step is identifying our triggers. So every single person has a spectrum of stress tolerance. And it starts at low or moderate, and it works its way up all the way to catastrophic. Now, every single person has this scale, but we all move through the scale a little bit differently. Some of us move through much quicker than others. Some of us kind of hang out in one zone or another for long periods of time without a lot of fluctuation. Of course, the longer that we stay in that red zone, that danger zone of high stress, that's when we're at much higher risk for disease like heart disease, stroke. Even they're finding that stress is related to cancer, Alzheimer's, autoimmune diseases. I mean, it just, you name it. And chronic stress is a contributor to all types of dis-ease. So we really want to examine ourselves and find out where we hang out on that stress scale. We already said that we can't eliminate stress, but we should be hanging out much more in that cool area, kind of the green and blue area, than in the red, warmer, hot areas. Well, that's easier said than done most of the time, right? I mean, if it was so easy not to stress, then nobody would be stressed all the time. But one of the ways that you can do that is by identifying your triggers, your hot buttons. And we all have those too. Even the people who are calm, cool, and collected that seem like they never get stressed, they have their buttons, and you'll know when you've pushed one. I was analyzing myself one day a few years ago of all the things that make me just really angry, that instantly I can be furious. And every single one of the examples I came up with, I could group together in a category, and that category was bait and switch. I realized that anytime I feel like I've been lured into a bait and switch, I just lose it. And that's a trigger for me. That is a button. And if you don't know what bait and switch is, it's basically when you are told one thing and given another thing. So if somebody lies to me, or if they tell me that we're entering a contract with these sets of obligations and rules, and then I enter it and they change it midstream on me, those are the kinds of things that really take my stress level into that red zone. So of course I'm working on that, but it's important for me to know that that is a trigger for myself. That's a hot button. So just simply being able to identify those things helps me to eliminate significant levels of stress in my life, because going into contracts or relationships, it's something that I can set on the table up front. I can let people know, hey, this is a hot button of mine. So let's make sure that when we move forward in this relationship or this business deal, that we steer clear of that. And believe it or not, it has been tremendously helpful. So when you're able to identify your hot buttons, then you can more easily communicate them to other people, and you can avoid them, which results in less stress. The next step in our PRISM process is setting boundaries. Now, this is similar to prioritizing, and there can be some overlap there, but it also has some differences. Things like setting boundaries in the way that we let people talk to us, in the way we let people treat us, boundaries in what type of compensation we'll set for the work that we produce. All of those are very, very healthy to figure out where your comfort level ends and begins, and really set clear boundaries for yourself in all areas. If you look at people who are the most stressed out, more times than not, you're going to find those people with the most stress are the people who have the fewest boundaries. And you look at people who have very clearly set boundaries, typically they have less stress. So it's certainly worth time sitting down, analyzing yourself, and figuring out very clearly defined boundaries in all areas. Financial boundaries. Do you need to set a limit on how much you're able to spend each week on certain things? Is a huge part of your stress financial, that you just never have enough money? Setting a boundary can be extremely helpful. A lot of us need to learn how to set boundaries with relationships and how we allow other people to treat us. There's a saying that whatever you allow will continue. So if you don't want something to continue in your life, then you have to stop allowing it. And that stop is what we call a boundary. So I could talk for a very long time about boundaries, and maybe we'll do another weekly talk just on boundaries. But take some time, figure out all the areas in your life that need them, and then set very clearly defined boundaries for yourself. When my life coach and I were talking about setting boundaries one day, we were working out, and there was this big colorful hula hoop in the corner. And she said, "Sunny, you've got to learn how to keep things in your own hula hoop." And so we talk a lot about keeping stuff in our own hula hoop, not getting into other people's hula hoop. So if that visual helps you at all and you can use it, then set your boundaries and stay within your own hula hoop. So you see, the first 4 steps of our PRISM process are really about helping to lessen the stress that we already have. And then the last step with the M is about managing what's left, because we're still going to have stress, but we just need to manage the stress that we do have a little better. So if you have a happy place, then that's where you go. A lot of people joke about their happy place, but it's a very real thing. And when some people are exercising, they're out running, they get their endorphin high, that's a very happy place for them. It's an amazing way to manage stress. Study after study shows it's one of the most effective tools for stress management. Things like staying hydrated and properly nourished with diet, getting adequate sleep, keeping good, healthy friendships and social activities, and doing something creative that you really enjoy. Those are all wonderful ways to manage the stress that's left. So while we may not be able to break up with stress, maybe with the help of PRISM, we can at least tell stress, maybe it's time we see other people. So I hope you've enjoyed this talk. Don't forget to go to the website, download the handout, so you can put these principles into practice in your own life and hopefully have less stress, less stress. Thanks for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next week.